Hello and welcome back, guys. Apologies for that short break that we just had to take. But Links, we were just introducing Sin Gaming on the God overview, talking about the rivalries and the roster switch up changes. Horizon moving to solo. Horizon going from solo to the support role, pairing with his good friend Templewolf.
Yes, it's good to see them pair up together as they've been on COD since the beginning, since actually about midway through last season, and have carried on since that time onto this team, which is very exciting to see. Like Templewolf has been a huge part of the OC scene since a long time ago. Like he was on the first incarnation of Inside before they came Avant Gaming in season 2. So it's great to see such a veteran of the scene to be on this team.
Yeah, exactly right. We're just going to go ahead and introduce our Ghazali Jafar on that team overview, which should be coming up in just a moment for you guys. So this is quite a new team in the OCE scene, except for a few of the members. Well, a vast majority of the members, I believe, four coming from the Defiance roster, as we were talking about the good rivalry between Cold Click and Defiance. Both very strong teams competing in the open ladder. Defiance just being that one step under Cold Click, I'd like to say, but very, very strong players in their individual roles. Joining them is Just Laney coming from the Dire Wolves.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how he's coming into the roster now, and without his support, Richard Castle, I am really interested to see how Just Laney performs now with Desecrator supporting him instead of that really aggressive Richard Castle.
Oh yeah, and as well Desecrator coming from that mid lane, moving over into support. It'll be interesting to see how he transitions, going from quite an aggressive role in the mid to support. It might go over. We might see another biggie playing very aggressive support there. Going into picks and bans now should be coming up into your screen. Picks and bans from yesterday. A lot of these big guardians getting banned out like Kepri and Athena. But first ban is going to be Odin on your screen.
Yes, Odin is an interesting ban, as actually Fonke is a pretty good Odin player. However, that is banned on the side of Sim, which he is on, so they might want to just deny it, allowing them to actually pick up something like an Isis, something that can actually only has a dash, or something that just counters that gets completely countered by anti-healing of Odin.
And Athena getting banned on the side of Ghazali Jafar. Taunt very, very strong in a team fight scenario, especially late game. Being able to taunt three members and destroy people's beads is extremely strong. Amaterasu getting banned on Sin Gaming.
Yes, Amaterasu, another great band. Also, the Thor band coming through. Amaterasu is a great band simply because she can apply an entire team-wide movement speed buff or power buff, which is a huge difference in team fights and can really decide who wins or loses.
Raven getting picked up on the side of Sin Gaming. That is most definitely going to Fonke, who is now in that solo lane. Very strong god. He has the root, he has that slow, he has that ult where he can escape a team fight or even join the fight, and the overhead kick for a immunity frame. Humbat's getting picked on the side of Ghazali Jafar. Big AoE ultimate links.
Yes, I love the Fear No Evil in team fights. It can really change the positioning of teammates who would originally be in the back line, but now would be forced to either move to the front line, and Homebats can just cause chaos while that's happening. Also, Ice getting picked up with that circle of protection, plus the Fear No Evil, is truly a devastating combo.
Exactly right. ISIS used to secure any objective, Fire Giant included. Agni getting locked in on the side of Sin Gaming. That'll be going towards Agni, the mid player. Don't get confused about that one. Agni and Agni. Very confusing there. Geb getting locked in as well on the side of Sin Gaming. Kepri still on the board, however.
Yeah, it's interesting they didn't pick out the Kepri, but maybe they value the Stone Shield due to the fact that the Fear No Evil is such a prevalent form of crowd
Oh,
control,
yeah.
and Geb can cleanse it.
Exactly right. Chiron getting locked in for Ghazali Jafar. We saw him played a lot in both of the games yesterday. Very safe ADC in the meta right now, Lynx.
Oh yes, he's definitely considered one of the best ADCs in this Season 3 meta. I feel like there's no real way to counter him. Now with a Geb, who is not really known for his lane clear, he can actually get outpushed quite easily, and if they pair it with an aggressive support, it can go very easily for Ghazali Jafar.
And Kali getting banned on Ghazali Jafar. Kepri as well getting banned out on the side of Sin Gaming. Very interesting ban coming through from Kali. Why do you reckon they've banned out Kali's generally a late game god? You don't really see her banned too often.
Because as you said, once she does get to that late game, she has such a strong impact, and Hunbaz just can't deal with that much damage. Even though he can crit after every ability use gets a higher crit chance, he still can't deal with the amount of auto attack damage coming out from that Kali. And speaking of jungler bans, we also have a Willish getting banned.
Yeah, Willix. Humbarts has that jump, so he could get pulled from the Willix ultimate. And Geb with the knock up on his shockwave as well. Guan Yu is the final ban of the game on the side of Sin Gaming. played a lot yesterday. Very strong with the heal and the cavalry charge. Ares locked in on the side of Ghazali Jafar for their support.
Normally, I'd be very much against an Ares, but against a Geb, you can actually be very aggressive with both the Chiron and the Ares, as trying to purify chains is actually not going to be that beneficial, as it keeps reapplying over and over again the cripple as well as the slow. Apollo also not very well known for his push ability, so it actually seems like Ghazali Jafar have a very strong early game, both in the duo and mid lane.
Yeah, I would have liked to see maybe a Hoi Yi getting picked on the side of Sin Gaming. Temple Wolf plays a very strong Hoi Yi, but again, Apollo very strong as well. Fenrir and Tyr are your final two picks on the side of Sin Gaming and Ghazali Jafar, respectively.
Yes, Fenrir is a very good pick to deal with the Humbats because you can actually make yourself CC immune in the Ragnarok ultimate, and you can pick up anyone you want and bring them closer. And with Ares not really having any way of escaping and just forcing himself into teamfights using that no escape, afterwards he leaves himself quite open to any sort of combination coming out from Sin Gaming.
And the Tyr as well. The Fearless, we saw a very strong Tyr in yesterday's games, being able to just Fearless 3 members after a stun. We're just going to go ahead, jump right into our game, however, between Sin Gaming and Ghazali Jafar.
And while we're at it, let us introduce the teams going into this. So, on the left-hand side of your spectator UI, under the Sin Gaming banner, we have Fonke on the Raven. We have HS247 on the Fenrir in the jungle. We have Agony on Agony in the mid lane. And for our duo lane, we have both Horizon and Temple Wolf on Geb and Apollo respectively.
And on the right side of your spectator UI, fighting under the red health bars, we have the Beast in the solo lane playing Tyr. Our jungler for today is the Monkey, none other than himself, Hun Butts. Lloyd in space is your mid laner playing Isis, and your duo lane is Desecrator on that Ares pick, and Just Laney in the Chiron, or on the Chiron, however. But over on our right side mid camps, looks like a 5-man grouping from Gaza looking to invade.
However, Sin Gaming are also looking to invade, going over to that blue buff on Ghazali Jafar's side. Will they actually collide? Because Just Laney spots them out and then backs away safely back to that mid camp area.
I don't think either team wants to fight this early on. Desecrator could go for a chain onto Fonke here. But however, I think it's just early warding. Great wards coming from the blue team. 3 wards up around the red Ghazali team's jungle, and 2 wards on the right side by Sin Gaming's blue buff.
Yes, that's very good warding by Ghazali Jafar, just to see what they're going to be doing. Also, you can actually get an idea of what kind of starting items they have, so you can decide how aggressive you want to be, or whether you just need to play it a bit safe in the early game and just not engage.
Yeah, I think they're taking a book out of yesterday's games. A lot of those games were decided just from early camp invades, which is great to see Sin and Ghazali taking advantage of those wards and making sure that nobody is invading them. Right side mid camp's getting picked up immediately from HS247 and Fonke.
Yes, that's a huge advantage going towards the way of Sin Gaming, just denying one of those mid camps already from Ghazali Jafar. And even if they lose the other side of the mid camps, they still have that huge advantage coming out early from that first mid camp picked up by them. And they've gone straight to the blue buff as expected during this meta.
Just having a look at the two teams here, who do you reckon has the stronger lineup as we go later into the game? You've mentioned early game, but that late game presence is extremely strong.
I feel like Ghazali Jafar has just a slightly better late game with the Chiron, which I feel like he's a lot better than Apollo. While Apollo is a lot better at split pushing, Chiron can really engage in those team fights with that training exercise, with the masterful shot, and Centaurus late game, if you can get a revive of that, is one of the biggest turning points in a fight that you can get.
And already on our left side, we're seeing Temper and Horizon already pushed out, as you were mentioning. Apollo, not the strongest wave clear in the game, neither has Geb, but not the Agni, the Ares doesn't really have the best clear himself, but he has Just Laney on that Chiron backing him up.
Yes, and he needs to ensure he lands those chains, because what his job is not to clear lane, as he said, but instead to land those chains and force both Horizon and Temple Wolf to use as many health and mana potions to sustain in that lane, while forcing them under tower, losing XP from the minions as they get killed by the tower.
Now, I'm not seeing that many interesting builds. However, over in our top right-hand mid-camp, Spirit Ball is just going to miss. Ultimate Abyss just trying to back up Lloyd in space, who's about a quarter HP, just manages to get away. Good aggression from HS and Agony there.
And over in the solo lane as well, we have the Beast and Fonko going at it, both just being much of a heal fest, as they can both heal quite a lot of damage even this early on, thanks to Oven's 10-hand Shadow Fist and the Beast Power Cleave in defensive stance.
I think that the Beast would have a better clear here. The Fearless is very, very strong, as you can see. Just 2 abilities, pretty much wipes out the wave at level 4. Level 5 getting picked up already on Beast, has that early advantage already.
However, in the mid lane, I feel like it's basically split even with both Agony as well as Lloyd in Space having about equal lane clear, because Agony and Isis have very similar, quite early lane clear. But once Agony hits that 5 and starts saving up those Agony bombs, we'll see who can use either the circle protection or the fire bombs better.
Exactly right. Both mid laners are hitting level 5 just after this wave, I would imagine. I really like the actives or the relics coming through from Sin Gaming and Ghazali Jafar on their supports. Ares and the Geb both picking up the Blink instead of the Shell or the Heavenly that we might usually see. I like the Blink coming through from both of them. Blink Cataclysm
it's very
is
much
massive.
necessary, because the Blink Cataclysm and Blink No Escape is basically your bread and butter during those level 5 mid-game fights, and you really need to be able to land those ultimates, because they will change what happens, because they both have great stun durations, especially with more people in it. It just has a greater impact. Even though Geb's ultimate doesn't do as much damage as Ares, it is a much bigger circle, and late game can actually provide even a little bit more than Ares, as it's a much quicker and more actually easy to land stun.
Right side, mid camp's getting picked up by HS and Agony again. Have a look on our left side, we might see an invade coming out on Sin Gaming's red buff.
However, Temple Wolf and Horizon are rotating with Ultimate Abyss ready to go with that Fear No Evil, and engagement has started.
Fear No Evil comes out, that's a Spirit Ball. Getting pulled is Temple Wolf, he should fall down. That's the Circle of Protections getting used up. Just Laney is granted with the kill on Temple Wolf. Horizon just managing to escape that. Great work coming through from Ghazali Jafar, able to pick up first blood and steal the red buff.
I feel like that was a really good engagement over there, knowing they had that circle of protection to engage, and they had all like the correct aggression there. They caught both Temple Wolf and Horizon off guard, as they both didn't really have much to do, especially since Temple Wolf is actually going into a Death Gloves build and not into a Transcendence build. He's actually doing a little bit less damage than just Laney early on.
Laney not using the beads in that fight just then, do you think he would have been able to get out if he had used the beads for Fear No Evil?
I don't think it would have helped either way, because I feel like he still would have been killed in a multitude of ways. There were so many different stuns coming out from Ghazali Jafar. Temple will just have to cop that on the chin and just accept it and move on and try and get his farm back now.
Yeah, and at least he knows that in the next fight he won't get pulled from an Ares or even the Fear No Evil. He knows he has that beads still online. Still in this mid lane, Agony doing a good job at clearing the wave with those bombs. Looking out for Agony, getting those stuns alongside Horizon. The Cataclysm combo as well as Agony with that Brain Fire along with the Noxious Fumes stun. Fire out.
Yes. Over
That
in the
was
dual
shocking.
lane, also if you have a look at it, now that Just Laney has finished that Transcendence, he is so much further ahead than Temple Wolf, just because he's now starting stacking already, while Temple Wolf is still, actually no, he only just finished the Death Gloves now, and is rotating back to lane to start building those stacks up. And actually Death Gloves takes 75 stacks compared to Just Laney's 50 for the Transcendence.
Over on our left side as well, Laney and Desecrator stealing away the pigs from Sin Gaming, getting even further ahead. Just have a look at our graphs links. We see a 600, almost a 700 experience lead, and that 1k gold lead in favor of Ghazali Jafar, thanks to that first blood, and the invades that Ghazali have been getting off.
However, over in the duo lane, we got Just Laney forced to use the Purification as HS247 tries to use the Unchained to catch Just Laney out.
He did use up that Ragnarok as well, but Ultimate Abyss and Desecrator are rotating over as well. They know that Temple does still have that beads online, so they won't be looking to engage over here just yet.
Yes, what Temple needs to be careful of is, since there is no water vision in that duo lane, he needs to sit back and ensure he doesn't get caught out by either Desecrator or Just Laney. Even Just Laney can catch him out pretty easily.
Over in our mid lane though, we see 3-member grouping from both teams here. Interesting to see if Horizon wants to go for a Blink Cataclysm, which we've been talking about a lot. I'd like to see the combo coming out, but however, Ultimate Abyss and Lloyd in Space have both gone with the beads. Fonkei's rotating over as well.
Fonke trying to secure these mid camps, and it looks like he'll be able to with the help of both Horizon and Agony. However, Ghazali Jafar rotating in.
Spirit Ball to secure. The stun over the wall is not going to connect with any members. I think that was an even 1-for-1 trade with the help of Fonkei.
And now everyone's just waiting around that mid lane, just looking for someone to overextend and engage on, while Fonkei has rotated back over to the duo into the solo lane, where the Beast is now rotating back over to mid lane.
Laney might be in trouble here. Horizon spots him out. HS is over here as well. The Unchained comes through. It does connect with the stun. The Brutalize comes through, but the Geb Shield to block that Spirit Ball. He does fall down in about a second. One more basic should do it. The Unchained comes through. Templewolf gets himself a kill and return on Just Laney in that backline. Here comes Agony with the stun over the wall. Lloyd in space is very low. Circle of protections and the Fear No Evil goes down. There's that pull coming through from Desecrator. Pulls both members of Sin Gaming, but there's no follow-up for him and he might fall down because of it.
Yes, as Horizon and Temple both chase Desecrator, Fonke comes in from the backline. The Beast also trying to rotate, but is unable to do anything. And Fonke picking up the second kill for Sin Gaming and the third kill overall in this game. Let us have a look at the grass power of this.
In our grass, it's a massive shift in favor of Sin Gaming, as right now we see a 900 experience lead. Gold, however, pretty even at this point. They did get that experience lead from that fight, but they've brought it back evenly in the gold.
Horizon did an incredible job there of using the Cataclysm at just the right time to actually save that teamfight. Otherwise, that teamfight could have gone a lot more pear-shaped than it originally did.
I like Desecrator using that no escape. Granted, he had no follow-up from his team, but it still was a good attempt pulling both the members of Sin Gaming, that was Agony and Horizon. Probably could have given them an easy double kill, but no follow-up on the side of Ghazali.
Yes, however, if we have a look over at Fonke, he is doing one of his classic builds, the value boots, picking up the reinforced boots to give him that extra little bit of physical protection, and instead going into the Hydra Star tier 2 to ensure that if he uses an ability, his next basic attack will do a lot more damage, basically circumventing the fact of needing a Warrior Turbine.
I haven't really seen a Hydra Star much on I can't even think of the god right now, on the Ravana. I don't see it too often. The only time I've really seen a Hydra Star is on a Loki when they're going for that full one hit, one kill.
Yeah, Fonke is known for building this because he does build the reinforced greaves, which does change the power spike of the build. So instead of getting the power from the Warrior Tabai, he's expecting to basically burst it from the next couple of basic attacks after either using the 1, the 3, or the ultimate.
Both our mid laners have now started stacking on their Doom Orb. Very risky. Doom Orb, if you do die, you lose half of your stack, so it basically puts a massive target on your back for the junglers to spot out. Agony could be looking to get rotated on from Ultimate Abyss as he's lurking around these right side mid camps, which are coming up in about a few seconds.
I feel like Agony is more likely to survive while building a Doom Orb because he can actually use the dash. He's one of the few mages who actually has that dash, while Isis, all she can really do is wing gust backwards at a little faster pace, but if she gets caught, she's going to lose those Doom Orb stacks fairly quickly. Desecrator through the wall hits that chain. The Spirit Ball is not going to connect with anyone. 5-man grouping in the mid lane for Ghazali Jafar. They really want to get these mid camps and make sure that Sin Gaming can't do anything about it. And while that's going, Apollo is just still farming up his own lane, just slowly taking his time and stacking that Devour's Gauntlets, ensuring he has plenty of lifesteal and physical power before he tries re-engaging again or going across the skies.
Desecrator in this left side mid camps, he's looking to maybe blink over the wall and use that no escape onto the 3 members of Sin Gaming. Gold Fury is still up at this point, 10 minutes. The next team fight could be orientated around that objective.
Desecrator trying to rotate around, but however was spotted by the ward in the Gold Fury pit, and so Temple will fall back and play it nice and safe with Fenrir here to protect him.
Fenrir could be looking to go on laney here, however, Desecrator is back in the lane and they're just going to be trying to farm ahead. I really like Apollo here. He can split push as much as he wants and get as farmed as he wants and still rotate over to a fight, whereas Chiron can't really sit in lane and rotate whenever he wants. He does have the giddy up, but not to the same power that Apollo can use it.
However, the benefit that comes from Chiron is that you can have a greater impact on the team fights. While Apollo's abilities don't really do that much damage and you're more auto-attack focused, Centaurus Training Exercise and Masterful Shot all have an incredible effect on the team fight, and a quite large AoE coming out from Training Exercise can change the balance of a team fight because it actually cleanses, which very few people realize, which can change a team fight depending on who gets picked up by either an Agni stun or a wall.
In our mid lane, no escape gets used up onto Agony and HS247. We see the beads and the Ragnarok getting used up, but that's perfect for Desecrator. That's exactly what he wants. He just wants the beads and the ultimates wasted on the side of Sin Gaming. So now Ultimate Abyss can spot that out and he can go in for an engagement with his Fear No Evil.
I really like that HS247 used the Ragnarok instead of the Purification, just because Ragnarok is a much shorter cooldown now due to the changes of Purification, making it so that instead of having to waste it on something that could be more worthwhile, he just wanted to be patient and use the Ragnarok instead, which will only be up in another 55 seconds.
Yeah, he has that Jotun's online, so he does get the 20% reduced cooldown. So it's not that big of a deal. I really like that he had used that instead of the beads. over in our mid lane. However, Agony did use that beats, however, and he won't have another escape. So I'd like to see Ultimate Abyss, as I was saying before, going for that Fear No Evil over the wall onto Agony.
And over in the duo lane, we've still got Templewolf and Just Laney just kind of battling it out, auto-attacking each other to death until something is going to happen eventually. Just Laney now rotating over to that mid camp.
Mid lane, however, though, HS247 might be in a bit of trouble. That Geb Shield cleanses the chains coming through from Desecrator. 4-man grouping here over in the left side mid camp. Lloyd in space taking a bit of damage from that rain fire, but Fonke's rotated to provide some backup.
It's interesting to see the dynamics of the two supports being Geb and Ares. Well, Ares, you see, is more of like a frontline tank, as you said, just blink in, no escape. Well, Geb, he kind of wants to blink in and use the Cataclysm, but then go into the backline. So instead of him getting crowd controlled, he can cleanse someone else in that backline and just save someone the trouble of dying.
Exactly right. Right side mid camps get picked up by Ultimate Abyss just by himself, declining more farm from the side of Sing Gaming. Both our ADCs are fully stacked, 75 Devourer's Gauntlet stacks and 50 Transcendence. And now Laney's going into the Assai, whereas Templewolf isn't going for that typical build. He's going right into the Ichabod, which is what it looks like.
I kind of like that he's picking up the Ichabod just because Apollo, with the Audacity passive and the Death Stole, he can just box anyone out if he wants now if he can actually build that Ichabod, because it provides such a high amount of attack speed. Plus, he'll be using that Audacity. I don't know if anyone will be able to stop him late game if he can land all those auto attacks and not get focused by either the Ares, the Hunbats, or the Chiron.
Look at this grouping in the mid lane. 4 members of Ghazali Jafar are in the mid lane. However, though, HS247 with a Fear Not Evil, the Geb Shield is not enough, and he just jumps out. Oh my goodness, he was very, very low there. HS247 getting out on about 130 HP, but here comes across the skies Apollo diving into the backline, right onto Lloyd in space. Spirit Ball does not connect. He's so low, just getting out of there. No kills granted for either teams, however.
That is a much needed advantage for Sin Gaming, because with now the no escape down, they can actually try and safely take Gold Fury without having to worry about needing their beads up. It's going to be a while until Ares can have it up, even though he has built into the cooldown and Breastplate of Valor.
Stun coming onto Just Laney, but he does use that beads perfectly to make sure that he isn't stunned out. Centaurus form goes down, trying to steal that Gold Fury. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough as Sin Gaming pick up the first Gold Fury of the match.
And now let us have a look at the graphs with a 2,500 experience lead over Ghazali Jafar and a 1,500 gold difference. This game is starting to look very much in the way of Sin Gaming.
Exactly right, but only 1 kill in it still. I'd like to see Ghazali play a bit more aggressive than what they have been doing. We see, HS might be in a bit of trouble here. One chain comes through, Spirit Ball, perfectly timed Sanctuary, however. Is it going to be enough? The Wing Dust, again, not enough, but in the backline, here comes the Beast, Fearlessing Horizon. Cataclysm is going to come through. Circle of Protections as well is used up. Fonke dives in right into it. That's going to be a kill for Desecrator.
And while that's going on, Fonke is still running around there with them being chased away. The Beast using the Fearless to dash twice through as Agony is forced to use the Sanctuary, and Desecrator picks up a double kill.
That's a 3-for-0 engagement on the side of Ghazali Jafar. I guess that's Caster's Curse. As soon as we start mentioning Sin Gaming with that lead, take a look at the graphs. It's completely even now. No, it's still in favor of Sin Gaming after that fight. What?
This game has been so close, there hasn't been really much separating the teams. Even after that Gold Fury, the gold hasn't changed much, and no towers have actually fallen in this game, even though it's been 15 minutes. And 6 kills in 15 minutes is actually really low, because the OCE scene is quite known for really lots of team fighting, lots of pressure on the map, while these two teams have been very quiet and just sticking to themselves and farming.
Have a look at Fonke's build. He's not going to finish that Hydras. He's going straight into what looks to be maybe a Jotun's Wrath.
Yes, that could also possibly be a Brawler's Beast deck to do with all the healing coming out from both Lloyd in space as well as Just Laney.
Oh, exactly right. Especially the Beast using that in his defensive form, the Power Cleave heals up so much in a fight. I would actually really like to see him build into that Brawler's Beast stick.
Yes, but it's good that he's actually, Fonke has been stated many times to say that he likes the Hydra star and doesn't like upgrading because it actually gives more value than building the full Hydra's Lament instead. So he just likes to keep it that little tier 2 thing and then sell it later on so he can just be more cost efficient in his build.
HS247 building into that silver breastplate. Looks like it's going to be a breastplate of valor to give him that full cooldown reduction on his Ragnarok and his Brutalized and his other abilities as well. Very, very strong ability Ragnarok is, being able to pick up any opponent and just bring them into your team fight, as well as baiting beads.
Well, you really need those physical protections to deal with both Just Laning and Ultimate Abyss, as they output quite a high amount of DPS, and especially Ultimate Abyss, with its passive allowing him to get extra credits, is something you need to be able to deal with early. Otherwise, you are going to get shut down in these team fights before Fenrir can do anything, and then he becomes more a utility jungler than a damaging kind of jungler.
In our mid lane, however, as we were talking about, Ragnarok gets used up. That's the beads as well, and the stone shield, but that's a no escape. Baited on the side of Ghazali Jafar.
However, over in our solo lane, we see the T1 tower falls to Ghazali Jafar, and Fonke and the Beast are now going at it.
Just going to miss that Fearless and have a bit of a jump party. Left side, Red Camp is going to get picked up by Ghazali Jafar. They're going to be stealing this one away, getting even further and further ahead, trying to keep up with Sin Gaming at the moment. This looks like it's going to be a big team fight if Ultimate Abyss wants to use that Fear Not Evil. Fonke has rotated over here as well. Great stun coming through from Agony, stunning out Lloyd in space. The Brutalize comes through. Fear Not Evil onto the two members of HS247 is going to be jumping over the wall, trying to chase down the remaining members of Ghazali Jafar under that tower. HS with a double kill across the skies. Apollo coming right into the fight. Centaurus form does not come through in time, and Agony gets himself a kill. The Beast is the only remaining member stuck under that tier 1 tower. Wow, 200 HP, still gets out of the fight. Great engagement on the side of Sin Gaming.
Agony did an incredible job there, ensuring that both the Firebomb and the Noxious Fumes landed perfectly to actually stun out 2 members of Ghazali Jafar and really changing the force of that team fight. The Fear No Evil was just a little bit too late and just couldn't do enough to deal with the aggression coming out from Sin Gaming. Having a look at our player damage, we see that both Fonke as well as Agony are on the top of the player damage chart with 8,000 and 7,800 respectively.
Yeah, it's definitely not surprising to see Agony all the way up the top there. Did you see at the start of that fight, Agony gets a perfect stun onto Lloyd in space and Ultimate Abyss, completely removing him from the fight, which means that there was no circle of protections to be able to heal up the rest of his teammates. Great work coming through from Agony and the boys of Sin Gaming.
He's only actually died once, so he's been able to maintain his Doom stacks for a while. Same with Isis also. Actually, she died recently in the team fight, so she's now down to 28 stacks. But with Agony still having 50 Doom stacks is a huge advantage over Lloyd in space. And also, there is a 1 level advantage between the 2 mid laners. And when we compare the supports, they're the same level. And the junglers, there is actually a 1 level difference.
Yeah, but Fonke and the Beast still level 18, going ham for ham at each other. 1-0 and 4 is Fonke. I love to the fight exactly when he's.
And Fonke also now going on the base there in the solo and just trying to deal each other a bit of damage. And now they're looking around that Gallifrey area to see if the team fight will begin.
I'd like to see Ghazali do a bit of damage to HS right here. Overhand smash. Not going to do too much as he has that physical protection through the breastplate of Valor. Teleport in coming through from Fonke. This looks like it's going to be the start of a big fight.
Sin already starting up the Gallifrey as Horizon, Fonke, as well as Agony looking to zone. Agony is now rotated over to Gallifrey with Fonke looking to be the only 2 people to actually zone out this Ghazali Jafar side.
Great zoning coming through from Fonke and Horizon, knowing that if anyone comes through, they are going to die and suffer a lot of CC. Great Cataclysm and Rain of Fire coming through from Agony. Fear No Evil gets used up. That's the no escape onto Horizon. The Beast is forced to run away from Sin Gaming as they are hot on the pursuit. Circle of Protections falls down. Tempelwolf gets himself a kill. Under the tower is Fonke using that Fearless. Knocked right in there. Another great fight for Sin Gaming.
Well, let's look at the graphs now as the lead has extended quite far. This is actually the biggest lead of the game with 5,500 XP and 3,100 gold in the way of Sin Gaming. And now as this tier 1 tower fall, that's an even greater lead for Sin Gaming.
Now they're looking to push down this mid tier 2 tower. They have Apollo with that passive stack. He will be able to be using that. Oh, great Fearless coming through from the Beast into the Centaurus form. Templewolf just gets out of the fight there. Great blink coming through as Laney falls down to... Laney gets the kill onto Temper.
That is the power of Masterful Shot. That is a scary ability. And if you're able to just get in time, as you saw there, you're able to basically get a global kill. Like, it's basically like a mini Neath ultimate. It's incredible to see Masterful Shot being used like that. Because Laney is known for being one of the best ADCs in the region after playing for Direwolves last season.
Exactly right. HS just getting out of that fight. And again, the Beast taking away, I believe this is the 3rd red buff of the game. Ghazali looking to be they're trying to invade as much as they can, but they've been losing these last two team fights. Why do you reckon they've just been losing these fights?
The problem is Desecrator. Quite simply put, Ares has no mobility once he's blinked in. And once he's in there, he's going to get trapped and he's going to get killed. Like, he's fallen behind already about one level, and he doesn't have a Heart of the Urchin like Geb, so he's not already stacking and keeping up in physical and magical protection, but instead went into that Breastplate of Valor, which I feel like will hurt him, like, in the long run, instead of going for that early Heart of the Urchin where you can start stacking as soon as possible, get those physical and magical protection stack online as soon as possible.
Horizon already has the Heart of the Urchin with 5 stacks, maximum of 10 stacks, only 5 away from that one. Another interesting build that I've just trying to figure out why. Have a look at Lloyd in Space building the Polynomicon on the Isis.
It's an interesting idea due to the fact that Isis has quite an interesting attack progression, which it goes from 1 to 2 to 4, but I feel like Isis isn't really known for auto attack, even though she does have that good auto attack. However, over in the joy lane,
over in our joy lane, looks like Tempelwolf is going to box at this tower. He has the help of Agony behind him, and now they have Ghazali Jafar rotating over, but it's a bit too late as they're already booked it.
And Fonke just staying in that solo lane, pushing up the way to ensure that the base can't push anymore and try and take that tier 2 tower in that solo lane.
And that's the power of Apollo as well, being able to split push and just get out of the fight. He could push even further if he wanted to. Laney is now back in the lane with him. Wave uses that form onto Tempo, getting that slow. But 4-man grouping over on the right lane, they look like they're just trying to spot out some kind of jungle farm that they can get even further ahead.
Or they might actually just be looking for that final tier 1 tower in the solo lane, as that is the final tower standing in the way between the next tier 2 towers for Sin Gaming.
And it would make sense. There's a minute and a half left for this Gold Fury to come back up. And they could get that tier 1 tower on the right side and then rotate over for the Gold Fury if they wanted to.
Interesting enough though, Humbats has actually now picked up the Deathbringer. Ready for the next team fight. This is actually quite an interesting item on Humbats, because usually you don't see crit being built this season, but on Humbats it's understandable, as his passive gives him extra crit chance, and the more crits, Humbats can be very, very scary, even early on, where you can just crit when you don't expect it the most.
I love the Deathbringer. I don't know how it works this early, or however, Desecrator using that no escape, forcing the beads. Spirit Ball coming through onto HS, a good stun coming through from Agony, trying to get all that damage onto Desecrator. Fear No Evil in the backline, Ultimate Abyss is going to fall down in just a second. HS is granted with the kill for that one. The Beast using that Fearless, going to have the Judgment away.
And as that's going on, Fonke still going in Lloyd in Space with the Circle Protection falling down, using that overhand kick to try and get away. Desecrator also having to use the bolstered defense as HS247 is going in on Lloyd in Space.
He won't be able to get that kill. However, in the mid lane, Tempelwolf, Agony, and Horizon take down that tier 2 tower. Now 30 seconds left till the Gold Fury spawns. 5 healthy members of Sin Gaming are looking to take this one down for their 3rd Gold Fury of the match.
Yeah, comparing the net worth of both Apollo and Charon, it's only about 100 gold difference. But if we have a look at it, Apollo I feel like has gotten more value out of his build, sorry. Then now he's actually pretty close to finishing that Titan's Bane. However, while Chiron only has 5 items instead of the 6, due to the fact he did not actually purchase a starting item and rush the Transcendence.
I like the build on both of the times here. Gold Fury getting started up for Sin Gaming, they might be looking to get their 3rd one.
We just have to pause. We have some technical difficulties coming through. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, just said something. Okay, the Gold Fury has been started up by Sin Gaming.
Does get taken down immediately after Sin Gaming are looking to rotate over in the mid lane. They're trying to spot out Lloyd in Space. Brutalize coming through. It's great damage, but Desecrator using that. Oh my goodness, pulling 3 members, but he's going to fall down. Tempelwolf granted with the kill on Desecrator. So much damage coming through. Again, it's been a while since a member of Sin Gaming had been taken down.
And while that's going on though, Chiron wants to get some revenge, and just Laney does pick up that tier 1 tower in the joy lane.
Yep, but now he's had to back as they're looking to get that final tier 1 tower on the right side. They should be able to burst it down in a few seconds. They have Tempelwolf with that almost at Titan's Bane. He's going to be shredding that one. They might be looking to get this one on the tier 2. Fonke just diving the tower, taking a bit of damage, but he's going to brush that off because he is a tanky Raven.
He's actually built the Heart of the Ocean now, so he's already got 2 stacks on it, providing a huge amount of physical and magical protection.
Good damage coming through from Agony, again using that Rainfire just for that long range poke. They could be easily taking this one down. Good stun again coming through from Agony. But are they looking to go for a Fire Giant at this point? 26.5 minutes in with 5 members up. Temple looks like he's going to be maybe trying to clear the camp.
Due to the lack of ward vision on the Fire Giant, I don't see Sin Gaming going for it just yet. A ward was just placed in the Fire Giant pit, but since, as you said, the rest of Ghazali Jafar is alive and ready to go, they don't want to risk getting pulled by Ares and just getting that Fire Giant stolen from right under their feet.
Laney finishing off that time on his build. I'd like to see him trying to push a bit more. Obviously, he won't be able to compete with Temple Wolf in the split pushing, but I'd like to see him get this mid lane tower.
And over, we actually have a look at Apollo. He's actually building into the Fatalis, which is a great idea as he will be able to stick even better to the opponent.
I like the Fatalis. I really, really like it. I like it on Apollo, but he has the Ichabod, he has the kin size, and he has the passive already, so his attack speed is actually rather high at this point.
Yes, but I feel like he just wants to be able to stick to the target and just ensure that no matter what, he will be able to chase down his target and ensure the kill for the team, as he is actually quite a good late game ADC, but Chiron, I feel like once he gets his build online, might be able to do just that little bit extra compared to Apollo.
Big grouping in middle for both teams here. Temple just over at that Fire Giant might get caught out by the beast, and you need to be careful. 4-man grouping could be looking to get this tier 2 tower. No, they're just looking to clear the jungle at this point. The Ghazali Jafar's red buff coming up in a second. They should be trying to clear that one as well.
And while they're at it, Apollo is actually doing quite a bit of split pushing over that solo lane into the tier 2 tower.
He won't be able to do much as the beast spots him out. Ghazali Jafar are going to be taking away their red buff. Ooh, Rainfire just missing Ultimate Abyss there. Not sure what they're pushing up left for. There's no Gold Fury. There really isn't any objective that they can go for other than that tier 2 tower. But I don't think they want to be just trying to dive towers at this point. I think they want to play a bit more safe, but still be a little bit aggressive.
Yeah, I feel like they just want to ensure that Just Laney can't also do the same thing that Apollo can do to them. Even though Just Laney as a Chiron doesn't exactly have the same amount of split push ability, a late game hunter can always split push if they really want to try so. So they're just ensuring that the waves are a bit more equal and a lot better in case they do lose this next team fight.
Fire Giant getting started up on the side of Sin Gaming does get spotted out by Ghazali Jafar. They could be looking to defend this one. Temple doing good damage to it at this point. He does have that Devourer's Gauntlet, so he does have that little bit of lifesteal onto him. Horizon doing a good job at zoning out. Neither team really wants to commit to this one as HS is trying to look up. That's a Fearless, just missed, and the heal. Make sure any kind of poke damage is completely removed.
And Temple is now withdrawing from the Fire Giant, with the Fire Giant now healing back to full. This looks like it'll be a team fight good to go.
5-man grouping in that mid lane. Sin Gaming are looking to aggress Ghazali as they are on the defense. No tier 2 tower for them to hide behind, so they're going to have to push back to that Phoenix. Oh, have a look at Lloyd in space, though. He is caught out of position here. He might get caught. No, he's going to group back with his team.
Yes, they need to be super careful over this Fire Giant, because whoever picks this up will most likely win the game, especially with Wolf and his strong ability to push towers so crazily.
Especially if we are this close to the end of the game. 30 minutes in it at this point. Neither team really willing to commit to a fight at this point, though, Lynx.
Yeah, I feel like Isis needs to be the most careful of all, because she's actually quite far behind. She is 2 levels behind Agony, and quite far behind in the item build, only just about to finish that Obsidian Shard, while Agony is already building into that Rod 250.
Fonke and Horizon very, very deep in the jungle here. They're looking for Lloyd in space under this tier 2 tower. That's going to be Fearless onto Horizon under the tower. He does have that Cataclysm. He's going right onto Lloyd in space. The beast taken down to about half health. But neither team committed. Desecrator's back into the fight as well, hitting those chains. There goes a Lawbringer onto Temple, but it does get Beast out. Ghazali Jafar are on the defense now. HS doing a lot of damage with that Brutalize and those basics. Fear No Evil used defensively to make sure that the defense from Ghazali make sure they get out of there. Still fighting, however, Desecrator back under the Phoenix. He is going Brutalized right under the Phoenix. Fonke gets himself a kill onto Laney over in the right lane. However, diving the Phoenix, the Beast gets himself a kill onto Temple with the help of that Phoenix.
And now, Beast has fallen. Now they have to back off as Fonke, as well as Agony, has fallen back.
Tier 2 tower being taken down by the big rock giant himself, Horizon. He's going to do a lot of damage with those minions, but that's going to be a teleport coming through from the beast to make sure he can't push any further. The tower might go down. No, it's just about one basic away. That's just going to be stepped over once they're on the charge as Sin Gaming. Fire Giant still hasn't been taken yet.
No, but the Graphs still are pretty much in the lead of Sin Gaming with an 8,000 experience lead and a 6,000 gold difference. It is still very much looking like Sin's game, and they are still in a lot of control.
Just even though there's only 5 kills in it, the Graphs tell a completely different story. They are so much further ahead, even though there's only that 5 kills in between Sin Gaming and Ghazali Jafar. Gold Fury is up on the left-hand side of the map. Looks like Ghazali are just trying to clear and place some more defensive wards just to make sure that Sin Gaming can't rotate into their jungles. The only tower remaining, well, other than the 1 HP tower on the right-hand side of the map, is that tier 2 in the left lane. Looks like Sin could be looking to take that one out as they're grouping in the left jungle.
They need to be very careful, though, because it seems like Ghazali Jafar are also rotating over to the Fire Giant to see if they can spot anything out.
Fire Giant still up for contention at this point. Fonke is the only member on the right side with 3 members in the middle lane, and good job from Temple going to split push that tower. It does get pinged out, though. They need to really group up at this point, as they do have those big AoE ultimates with the Fear No Evil in the mid lane. However, big fight looks like it's about to break out here.
However, Temple getting free access to that tier 2 tower in the joy lane is just absolutely shredding it, and Rachel across the skies back into the mid lane.
No one is even rotating over to him in the left lane. They're just like, okay, we'll give him the tier 2 tower, but they can't really defend it, because if they wanted to aggress in the mid lane, right over onto Desecrator, who might get caught out here. HS using that Brutalize to put some kind of damage onto him. His right side mid camps are up and ready for contestation. Neither team, again, no one really wants to commit to any of these fights.
However, Agony trying to put on that onto the beast, but sadly it is just missing. But now Temple starting up the Gold Fury just to deny as much gold and experience as possible from the side of Ghazali Jafar.
Blink, no escape in the mid lane. HS using that Unchained to dive over the wall. Circle of Protections goes down across the skies. Temple Wolf gets himself a kill onto Lloyd. Fear No Evil used up as well defensively. That's a Lawbringer from Tier diving onto Temple Wolf in the back line. HS gets himself a kill. The Cataclysm onto Desecrator and the Beast works out well for them. Desecrator very low at this point. Brutalized onto Beast. Temple Wolf gets himself his 2nd kill of that fight. Desecrator is now still up, but he might fall down in a second. Good stun coming through from Agony. Temple Wolf gets himself a double kill in that fight. 4 for 0 trade in favor of Sin Gaming.
And now they're looking towards Just Laney as he falls super quickly as HS247, Agony and Temple Wolf apply an extreme amount of burst damage. Teleport coming in from Fonke to finally finish this game. It looks like they're going for the Titan.
Yeah, it looks like they'll be able to easily get this one. They have the damage from Agony. He has that Path of Flames, which is going to be using to stack up the damage. It's about 1k. No members are up. 11 seconds. That's going to be game 1-0 in favor of Sin Gaming. It is a best of 3 series. Ghazali still can come back from that fight. But it was quite an even game at the start of that game, Linked. And then Sin Gaming were just taking fights without losing any members.
That was really a great job by both Temple doing a great job of split pushing, and Agony really using those firebombs in the team fights to ensure those stuns landed and stopping ISIS from using either the Circle of Protection or just slowing down someone from trying to get away as they were trying to run away with either the Fearless or the Somersault.
I think what really let Ghazali down was the Ares. I don't think that the Ares was the best pick. I would have liked to see maybe a Barkus or a Sobek even, just because they have that mobility. The No Escape was great early, baiting the beads from Sin Gaming, but I would have liked to see someone with more mobility.
Yeah, as you said, anyone could have been a lot better. Like, Ares does have a few issues, especially if you're not the best one. Like, usually you see people like Richard Castle really take full effect of the Ares, but Desecrator really just couldn't get the efficiency out of Ares and just fell behind before, and it was just too late by that point.
Alrighty, we're going to see if Ghazali Jafar can make it a 1-for-1. As I said, it is a best of 3 series, so they are not out of it just yet. We're just going to go ahead into a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll be bringing you game number 2.